Dude, this is a sweet little workshop over here.
Dude, thanks. It's kind of like the clean room.
Yeah.
So a lot of disassembly happens out there. So what we did already is we got your forks revalved, your shock we got revalved yesterday, let the Loctite cure. Now we're going to dry assemble it into your shock body and then get it onto our bleed machine right behind you, and that's going to fill it up with oil for us.
Sweet.
But so the main consistent of the work that we did was adjusting the shims that are here. That's your compression stack. And then we also modified the shims that are in your compression adjuster as well.
Okay.
We got two different things happening inside your shock. This piston here is moving through oil. So think of it as like a kayak going through the river. This piston has oil moving through it. So think of like the rock in the river that doesn't move.
Wow.
So the better way I can put that analogy is for the rock. If you're driving in your car and you put your hand out the window and you're in a school zone, you don't feel the air resistance that much.
Right.
As you speed up, if you do that freeway speeds, your hand's going to feel a lot more air resistance because you're going through it at a lot faster velocity or speed. So in your shock, we have one valve moving through the oil and the other valve, the oil's moving through it, and they complement each other. So the best way we can modify your shock is by making this side a lot stiffer on compression, and then also making a compression adjuster a lot stiffer as well. And that's what you modify with the clicker here. We're dictating how hard it is to open that door and how far you can open that door. So in the past, we've seen people have worked on this before you and they've done some good work. They just maybe haven't gone to the extent that we're going to. So we're gonna mount this up into this vise right here.
Sweet.
And then we're gonna kind of dry assemble everything.
And so what creates like the rebound difference?
So that would be the other shim stack on the top of here. So as this moves through the oil is going to go through our doorways. And if we follow that opening, it's actually covered by these shims. So that oil is going to want to bend these shims open. When this goes to rebound the opposite way, those shims are going to close. And we have these open ports. If we follow these up, that side's covered by shims. So it's a two-way valve, which is really neat.
Wow.
And then these shims are going to deflect open.
And so that's why they're like offset like that.
100%.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
So you've had a few settings on this bike, it looks like.
Yeah. I think the last time I had it serviced, I just asked for like stiffer.
Cool. Yeah, so all stuff in the right direction, it looks like, compared to stock.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
For sure.
I don't know if we ever actually adjusted the rebound. Like I didn't really know that was something that, was important for FMX until
no worries.
I talked to you.
A lot of tuners have different takes, and I don't say anybody's right or wrong.
Right.
So it's just fun to see what other people are working with and trying. And
Cool.
From seeing what you had done in the past, you're definitely on the right line, or let's say on the right path for what you guys are after.
Sweet.
I'm pretty excited to give you what we've kind of tuned and developed. So we call this your seal head, and that's what keeps all the oil inside of your shock. So we got an O-ring on the outside that's going to seal around the cylinder, and then we got a seal on the shock shaft itself. These are pretty critical. That keeps all the oil in your shock.
Wow. A whole science just inside the shock, man.
A little bit, man. They got a lot of similarities with engines. We're working with pressure. We're manipulating pressure. By that I mean negative pressure, vacuums, and also positive pressure. And the better we can do that, the more efficient we can do that, the better it's going to work overall.
And what does that do exactly?
What it does, man, is it accounts for volume displacement. So when your shock, when this rod goes into here, because I said it's sealed, it's going to take up volume inside the shock. It'd be similar to as if you have a cup of water and you put ice in it.
Right, the water would come out.
Exactly. So we got oil in here. The shock shaft would be our ice. So because of that, liquid is not compressible, but gases are. So when this gets compressed, it's going to push the oil. The shock shaft's going to push the oil through your adjuster. Remember, the oil moves through your adjuster, and then it's going to go into this cavity, and it's going to compress this. So as you see, there's a lot of overlap. If we want to make something stiffer, we can make the valving stiffer, so the door doesn't open as far, or we can maybe have the valve open the same distance, but maybe make the oil thicker.
Gotcha.
So there's different ways to achieve the same thing. What's important is understanding what each does and what each part should do optimally, meaning a spring holds up the weight of the bike and the rider. That's its main job. It has some crossover effect, but we want to ensure that the spring we have selected is properly matched to the weight of the rider and the bike. But I left out your compression adjuster right here. So earlier when I talked about shock shaft going into the body, it'll push the oil through that hole, which will go through your adjuster into this cavity through this hole. So think of the oil more as stepping through a door every time you ride. You compress it and it goes through a door one way, and then when it rebounds, it goes back to the door the other way.
Constantly.
Wow. But it's oil is equal everywhere. So the minute you start to have a seal leak or O-ring leak, you lose a lot of pressure quickly.
In the whole system.
It still works, just not as good.
Gotcha.
Same concept with the helium balloon. Even though the balloon's this big and I give you a very small needle, the hole relative to that size is fucking tiny, but that balloon still deflates.
Wow.
Insanely. So it goes to show you pressure. And the balloon is under very small pressure. We pressurize this to 150 psi.
Wow.
So it shows you how much we're relying on everything being very, let's say like efficient or well built.
Cool.
So we're going to fit an adapter into this now. A machine that pulls a nice vacuum on the brake and then fills it with oil. By hand works. The machine does it like nice. So same with the shock. You can hand build shocks all day long. It just takes a while. Or you can get a machine and it will do it for you.
Okay.
So that's what we're about to do behind us.
Sweet. So it's like assembled but with no oil and it's not pressurized yet, and you're about to add the fork oil and pressurize it like at once, or it's two separate processes?
We're going to fill it with oil and then we'll pressurize it afterwards. So
Sweet.
we're going to throw it up on our get up right here. We're going to go like this. Make this the highest connecting point. Awesome. Kind of let gravity help us out with everything. Sweet. So let's turn on this thing again. This will be day 2. So if anything happens, we got it on camera. Hopefully not. I'm not saying anything should happen. Like, I'm not implying that at all.
Stand back.
Yes. We had good success with it yesterday. We did 2 shocks. And hopefully today is just as good. Genius design. Brilliant. And so it says check it. We're connected. We're locked in. That's connected. We got air pressure up in that guy. We're reading plenty of pressure at the gauge. So let's hit enter one more time. Cool.
Wow.
So it's pulling a vacuum right now, and it's going to tell us how much negative pressure it's pulling. It's going to do it for about 3 minutes. So it's at about a half a bar, and it's going to work its way up to a full negative bar of pressure.
I'm always riding, so.
Nice. Well, we're just doing a cycle number 2 on it.
Cool.
So we do 2 cycles.
To pull out.
No, we did 1 vacuum and 1 positive.
And now it's going in? Okay.
So, I did a vacuum, then we did a positive.
Cool.
And now we're doing another vacuum, and then we'll do another positive.
Wow.
So,
and it's reading in bar. So in like bar and PSI are like
just different units.
Different units.
Yeah,
but
like meter versus feet.
They're near Lithuania.
Oh, yeah.
Like west of Russia, but like just on the edge of Eastern Europe or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but
cool to see how much riding reaches people around the world.
Dude, right?
Different cultures, just different vibes, totally. Yeah. But the common language is riding. Whether it's moto, off-road, 100%. Freestyle, like they get it.
We all speak, but up.
Dude, yes.
On those, we just come out and wave and ride back in the fucking thing, but people were stoked.
You excited to flip with Cruise, bro?
I am, dude.
That's wild, man.
I love Cruise, man.
Yeah, they're cool little
best
kids.
Best energy, dude. Yeah, he's been killing it.
Dude, yeah.
Well, what's crazy is even when you came last year and tinkered with my bike for 5 minutes, that was a night and day difference.
Dude, yeah, I remember we were psyched.
Yeah, and you told me, like, dude, that's 5% of what an actual rebuild would be, happen. And I was like,
yeah, no, I'm glad we linked up, man.
Yeah, me too, dude.
That was a good day out there.
It was, yeah.
That was fun. And good dinner, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever are baking brownies or cake and you don't have, I think, an egg, you can use soda as the riser. Because remember KDG said, do you have any 7-Up or Sprite?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, she whipped up those banging. Were they tacos, steak tacos or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then they had like chocolate cake too for dessert. Yeah, that was good to know.
Off the chain.
Is what I was maybe told.
Wow.
But bummer deal.
Yeah.
Very much a fluke, but cool. So that sets the bladder for us, man. And now we're about to disconnect.
So you just like knew what PSI level you wanted it
Yeah,
at?
'cause this is still open. So we just put a little pressure in there. The bladder took shape.
Okay.
Pushed out any extra oil. And now we're gonna hit this little okay.
So that's kind of like the final piece of setting everything up, right?
And now that just sealed off the line. So when I disconnect it, a bunch of oil won't come up.
Awesome.
Pouring. I grew up in Reno, Nevada, and prostitution is legal there. So you hear many jokes. I was told that as a kid, and I didn't quite understand it for a long time. So, anyways, this shock is very full.
We got a full hoe down here.
Yeah. Cool. So we got that in there. We'll tighten this bad boy down. Pressurize it with some nitrogen, not nitrous oxide, so don't get excited. And hippies watching this, because if it was, we would all be laughing right now and not doing any work. Just kidding. So now we're gonna pressurize the shock.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this is the last piece of the puzzle. And then we'll give it a nice little rinse off. And then you always go by the gauge down here. So we're at 150 PSI is what we want this to be at. Let's give that a moment. It's pressurized now, but you have 5 seconds. So let's give it a moment, and then this is called a no loss chuck. So that way we won't lose any gas from the shock. We'll lose a little gas out of the chuck, but none from the shock. So that little
just came from the
from was reading the gauge, not the shock absorber itself. Bottom out as hard. Like it'll still use a lot of the travel, but with it not bottoming out as hard, it's not going to kick back as hard, meaning like a rebound. So you'll be able to set up for grab tricks way easier.
Way easier, yeah.
Because when I watch a lot of dudes, you guys start setting up like as you're taking off from the ramp.
Yeah.
So now with the bike being more predictable, how it's going to come off, I think you're going to be able to get your setup going a little bit even earlier now.
Sick.
So that'll just help out with just setup, trick extension, whole time, coming back and everything like that.
Perfect.
So, cool, this is pressurized, man. We're going to throw our little cap on the Schrader valve, and then we'll rinse this off out back, get this mounted up on your bike, and then send you on your way to the madhouse.
Let's go.
Man, you came into town, you rode some bikes on the beach, hung out the rat chick, KDG.
Yep, shout out KDG.
Suspension done, and now you're headed to the madhouse to learn some more backflips, or fine-tune the backflips.
We're going to fine-tune the backflips. We're going to enjoy California.
So it's been a good trip so far.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you again, man. Welcome back. We'll get the shock rinsed off and mounted up, and I look forward to some clips from you.
Thanks, brother.
Hell yeah. Sweet.